Stuckeys almost disappeared, but the memories of millions of travelers plus the heroic efforts of the founder's granddaughter is bringing hope to enjoy the Georgia pecan sweets again. To find out how this dream is becoming a reality, I met with Stephanie Stuckey to find out how they get unstuck and to make the rebirth of an American icon. Join with me, if you will. Before I start my interview with Stephanie, a little background about the company. In 1937, during the Depression, Sylvester Stuckey, who was the founder, was unable to find a job. Pecans were plentiful in central Georgia, so he put together a small shed beside the road, well out of town. With hand-drawn signs, began selling pecans. The nuts were selling good, but he had an idea of getting his wife and later her friends to make sweet treats using the pecans to sell also in his shed. This was the beginning. After a few years, a small family investment of $35 from his grandmother, he rented a store in town and moved his pecan and candy business. This was on a busy road, so it would attract more customers. It worked well. They made it more enticing travel stop by adding some simple food, gas pumps, and other convenience items. The store was a big success, and within a few years he added 2 more stores. Bold signage and rest, relax, refuel convenience store was with a large dose of Southern hospitality made Stuckey's a very popular stop for drivers. After World War II ended, more people were traveling south to visit relatives, and then the road trip vacation became quite common. The entrepreneur was ready to meet their needs. Between 1945 and 1964, Mr. Stuckey had grown the company from a few small stores to 160. They even capitalized on the interstate highway system development that rerouted the drivers around his towns. His plans include placing stores at selected highway exits with plenty of bold billboards telling how far it was to the next Stuckey's. With the geographic difficulties of further expansion west of the Mississippi, he looked to merge with a giant corporation. He met with the owners of the Pet Incorporated, and they wanted to diversify from their well-established evaporated milk business. They already owned a restaurant chain and Whitman's Chocolates, so adding pecan snacks plus the many established retail locations sounded like a sweet music to everybody. So the deal was to sell Stuckeys and have Sylvester Stuckey manage the Stuckeys division. With a seat on the board of Pet Incorporated, this merger also made Mr. Stuckey a very wealthy man. This merger was settled in 1964. Traveling long distance was dramatically reduced for everybody in the 70s after the OPEC oil shortage. Higher prices at the pump made vacation trips much shorter for everybody. Less travelers meant less business. That, along with a severe recession, cut profits. The Pet Corporation was purchased in 1979 by another bigger corporation. The buyer reduced unprofitable stores for a few years and sold the remaining stores, which was less than 100, of the Stuckeys division in 1985. The buyers were a partnership of 3 gentlemen, including Sylvester Stuckey's son, which was also Stephanie's father. All 3 were involved in business and political offices. Their attention was not focused on what it would take to keep Stuckey's machine running. At their peak, there were over 360 stores of Stuckey's in 40 states. Several things had changed, and by 2019, there are only a dozen left. The founder's granddaughter took a great risk to buy what was left. The company went from the most popular rest, relax, refuel stop to a little more than a fond memory to many. There were many ghost stores scattered across the country. Some had been repurposed and some had been abandoned. Don't think for a minute that I'd end my story on such a sad note. The interview with Stephanie Stuckey starts in just a moment. This has been a very short summary of Stephanie's book, Unstuck, Rebirth of an American Icon. Reading the book brought me both laughter and tears. I highly recommend reading it to revive your American spirit. The link to get the book is in the description below. It's from Amazon and I get a few pennies commission as an affiliate partner. I've also made arrangements with Stuckeys for you to purchase a few of their treats through the link provided in the description below. So I can earn a few quarters. And you get home delivery from Stuckeys. But this is a limited time offer. Now let me introduce you to Stephanie Stuckey.
Oh, it's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
We've had email conversations a couple times, and you've been so helpful with the mural. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I did a little bit of research and found out that if you type in Google search and Stuckeys, the number 1 and the number 2 most popular or most used are locations and Stuckeys near me.
Oh, good.
A lot of people, it seems like thousands every month, are trying to find where a Stuckeys is.
Yeah.
And I wish you
yes.
your book.
Promo. Look at this book.
I actually read.
Love this cover.
I'm not a big reader of books, but I love your book.
Thank you.
I haven't read a book cover to cover in, well, since I was in college.
Wow.
I usually skim through and find the best parts, and I'm done, but I don't have time for that. No, I'm such a busy person.
Yeah.
Being retired and all.
Books are commitments.
But I couldn't put the book down.
Thank you.
But I did make the appointment before I finished reading the book. So I finally got to the last chapter after I scheduled the appointment. And one of my questions I'm going to have to reword a little bit. But anyhow, getting back to the Google searches, and number 3 is Stuckey's Pecan logs.
Okay,
so
good.
So, and that's getting over 1,000 a month on the hits on Google.
Yeah.
So Google doesn't lie. They don't care what they are. They just
it is what it is.
It is what it is. This says that quite a few people are looking for your stores and your products, and this is good.
Yes.
Used to have hundreds of Stuckey stores spread out all over,
mostly
on tourist routes, which I can understand. But your goal doesn't seem to be in that direction. Can you tell us what you would rather do than build and rebuild stores and things like that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the answer is really simple. We don't have the money to build and own and operate stores. Now, if somebody watching this video would like to invest tens of millions of dollars in a store program, talk to me. I'm happy to expand our strategy to include stores. But I spent a year after I bought the company in 2019 really struggling with how can we rebuild this brand with extremely limited resources. And I quickly realized there are only a dozen original Stuckey stores still left. There were originally almost 370 stores in 40 states. And those stores that are still standing, we do not own them, we do not operate them, and we don't even have the resources to run a full-fledged franchise program. But we were able to get financing through some SBA, Small Business Association programs, to get a manufacturing facility in a rural community, because that is something that the government is incentivizing. So that is what we did, and that is the way my grandfather built the company. We started as a pecan stand. We have at our heart always been a pecan snack and candy brand. And he built it from there. He was selling candy and snacks for several years before he even had the first store. And then the stores grew slowly one by one. I would love to have stores again that we own and operate. And we do have this wonderful little retail shop that Jessica runs. And so we do have this, I guess, beachhead of a store. So maybe someday.
Yeah.
But I have to live in the world of reality, and what we're doing now, the strategy that we have agreed upon, my partners and I, is that we're going to grow this as a pecan snack and candy brand. So that is our focus now, and we're making the most delicious pecan log rolls, pralines, turtles, and all these flavored pecan snacks, and we're selling them to partners all over the country.
Okay.
So that's how we're growing.
Okay. So you're trying to get your product
Yes.
in other stores.
Yes, and still be about the road trip, because whether it is a roadside store that is branded as a Stuckeys, or you are going to one of our partner stores like Wawa in Florida and picking up a bag of pecan snacks from Stuckeys, we're still part of that road trip experience.
A little side note, I just did an episode recently about the country's oldest welcome center. Up by
Sylvania.
Yes.
And they sell Stuckeys.
And I saw
That's a
Stuckeys
great
right there,
example.
and had a wonderful conversation. Oh, you sell that? And they also give away Coke products, because that's a Georgia-based business too. So
There's some great food and beverage brands in Georgia.
Oh, well, my last question, I'm going to have to reword a little bit, because since you've never run a lemonade stand,
Right? It's a reference to the book.
when are you going to hire a real CEO?
Yeah.
After I wrote the question, I read the final chapter of the book.
Yes.
Finally got to read it.
I did hire a CEO.
And
I didn't really hire him. He's my business partner, and we have co-invested in this business together, and we mutually agreed that he would be a great CEO, and he is a great CEO. His name's R.G. Lamar, and I am now the chair, and that's a great role for me, and we work super well together, and we're building a team, and together we're all growing this brand.
Well, I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. Yeah.
I'd like to hear your story about visiting a Stuckeys in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed this as much as I did, send me a thumbs up. If your mouth is watering for a pecan log roll, click the link in the description to have some delivered. If you like more stories like this, tap the subscribe button in the Georgia History Today logo in the center. Thanks, and see you next time.